For the moment, Prema, many thanks for joining me. I now want to shift focus to the other big story we're tracking here on India Today. As we look at these images of Mamata Banerjee being wheeled out of hospital, the question remains, will she head back to Nandigram? It's a big battle in Nandigram, or will she remain in Kolkata for at least some time as she recovers? Our other big story. All eyes on the first virtual summit of the Quad Alliance. That's to begin shortly. So Quad Alliance will meet in a while from now virtually. So you have Prime Minister of India. Okay, let's quickly cut across and listen in.
The United States is committed to working with you, our partners, and all our allies in the region to achieve stability. And this is a group of particularly important because it's dedicated to the practical solutions and concrete results. And my counterparts, if you'll forgive me, I'd like to give one example of why it matters. There are many examples. But yesterday, I signed into law the American Rescue Plan to get the American people through this pandemic and kickstart our economy and our economic recovery. It's a bill that will get meaningful help into the hands of people in our country who need it the most. Consequently, this week, the OECD revised up its expected rate of growth for the United States this year as a consequence of that legislation. In fact, it doubled it from 3.2% to 6.5%, the fastest rate in one-year economic growth since 1984. And it's critical because the OECD also predicted that the United States economic growth, fueled by the ARP and increased vaccinations, will be a key driver in global growth this year, and our trade partners benefiting around the world as a consequence. But to get this right, we all have to focus on generating domestic demand and driving sustainable global growth. And we're launching an ambitious new joint partnership that is going to boost vaccine manufacturing and for the global benefit and strengthen vaccinations to benefit the entire Indo-Pacific. We're establishing a new mechanism to enhance our cooperation and raise our mutual ambitions as we address accelerating climate change. And we're renewing our commitment to ensure that our region is governed by international law, committed to upholding universal values and free from coercion. We've got a big agenda ahead of us, gentlemen, as you well know, but I'm optimistic about our prospects. The Quad is going to be a vital arena for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, and I look forward to working closely with all of you in the coming years. And now, Prime Minister Modi, I'm kicking it over to you. And again, it's great to see you.
Your Excellencies, President Biden, Prime Minister Morrison, and Prime Minister Suga, it is good to be among the friends. I thank President Biden for this initiative. Excellencies, we are united by our democratic values and our commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. Our agenda today, covering areas like vaccines, climate change and emerging technologies, make the Quad a force for global good. I see this positive vision as an extension of India's ancient philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which regards the world as one family. We will work together closer than ever before for advancing our shared values and promoting a secure, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Today's summit meeting shows that Quad has come of age. It will now remain an important pillar of stability in the region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, by Minister Morrison. President Biden for this wonderful initiative and bringing us together
and my fellow Prime Ministers, it's great to see you. Namaste. Good morning, konnichiwa, and from Australia, g'day. As we begin a new day here in Australia, it's not yet dawn, but we join together as Quad leaders of nations to welcome what I think will be a new dawn in the Indo-Pacific through our gathering. History teaches us that when nations engage together in a partnership of strategic trust, of common hope and shared values, much can be achieved. When the world emerged from the Great War and our last global pandemic a century ago, it soon found a Great Depression and another global conflict that unleashed a poverty and a devastation that was unthinkable. As we emerge from this global pandemic and the global recession, let us together create a different future. It is the Indo-Pacific that will now shape the destiny of our world in the 21st century. As 4 leaders of great liberal democracies in the Indo-Pacific, let our partnership be the enabler of peace, stability and prosperity, and to do so inclusively with the many nations of our region, to share in their vision as expressed through ASEAN for an open, inclusive and resilient Indo-Pacific, to respect and support their sovereignty, independence and security by upholding our values and supporting international law, and to address the many challenges we face from COVID to climate change. Know, friends, that Australia, while looking to our friends in all of these tasks, we never leave it to our friends. We'll do our share of the heavy lifting to lighten the burden for us all. I'm delighted to now hand over to my good friend Yoshi, Prime Minister Suga.
Mr. Modi and ScoMo, it is a great honor to realize the Japan, Australia, India, US Leaders Summit with all of you working together to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific. Starting with the response to the tsunami disaster that we just saw on the video, the Quad 4 countries transformed into a forum for diplomatic dialogue in 2007. Since then, after overcoming some difficult circumstances from around 2017, we gained fresh momentum. In October last year, we reached the stage of holding the foreign ministers meeting here in Tokyo. Less than half a year since then, we are now holding this first leaders summit. And I do feel emotional about the development. I thank Joe for your initiative. With the 4 countries working together, I wish to firmly advance our cooperation to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific and to make visible and tangible contribution to the peace, stability and prosperity of the region, including overcoming COVID-19. Yesterday was the 10th anniversary of the Great East Japan earthquake. We received massive support from the US, Australia and India in our response to the disaster. Joe visited the affected areas soon after the disaster, and I thank you once again. I look forward to a fruitful discussion today.
Opening statements made, and very, very clearly, whether it was US President Joe Biden or Prime Minister Narendra Modi or the Australian Prime Minister Morrison or the Japanese Prime Minister Suga, the focus was on free, open Indo-Pacific. I want to bring in India Today's Foreign Affairs Editor Geeta Mohan for more on this big story. Geeta, those were very brave and big words, and perhaps with far-reaching consequences, when the Australian Prime Minister indicated that it's the Indo-Pacific that will decide the course of our future. And that's where India, US, Australia and Japan will play a very big role, Geeta.
Absolutely, Gaurav, a historic moment. This is the first meeting at leadership level of Quad leaders, the Quad format. This was something that a lot of countries, including countries within the Quad, were waiting for. And finally, we've seen an upgrade of the quadrilateral security dialogue to a level and extent that was really required in the recent past to counter aggression in the Indo-Pacific. Shangri-La Dialogue of 2018 was when Prime Minister Narendra Modi first enunciated the vision of the Indo-Pacific and within the Indo-Pacific. Remember, all the countries not only spoke about freedom of navigation, securing the waters in the Indo-Pacific, maritime security, but one important and key aspect that India mentioned and various other countries, particularly the Australian Prime Minister, also mentioned was the centrality of ASEAN. These are the countries that are most affected by Chinese aggression. These are the countries that have suffered at the hands of Beijing. And that's the reason why it is important to ensure that big countries, when they come together, countries like Japan, Australia, US and India, that they ensure that this entire vision is to secure ASEAN and keep the centrality of ASEAN alive within the Indo-Pacific. So that's a very strong message. Apart from Indo-Pacific, climate change, economic security, we know that certain aspects of terrorism and the vaccine diplomacy that is underway are going to be key part of the conversations that are now underway.
Geeta, one thing is very clear. One thing is very clear. Whether it's India, Australia or Japan, have they been able to shed all their hesitation that China is the country that needs to be put in its place, an expansionist power needs to be put in its place? And is America also coming forward equally forcefully? Because this summit, so far you've had one ministerial level dialogue of Quad, you've had several working group meetings from 2017 onwards. It's taken almost a decade and a half for a summit to happen, but a summit sends out a very strong signal to China. Geeta.
Well, you put a very important question over here, Gaurav. There are two aspects to it. One is that when Admiral Davidson had appeared in front of the Senate committee for his inductional hearing, he had said that there is reluctance on part of India. In the near future, you will still see a non-aligned India, but in the farther future, you will see India taking a very strong position. Having said that, India's stand is very different and will always continue to remain very different from that of Australia, Japan and America, because they are not immediate neighbors of China. India is. India has to factor all that aspects in. And despite and in spite of that, India says that there is a need for the quadrilateral security dialogue to come together, for Quad countries to come together, so that those countries that show no respect or little respect for freedom of navigation and maritime security need to be put in place.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
the reason why we see them.
This isn't a military alliance against China. So one thing is very clear. When we take on China in Ladakh, when we push back expansionist forces in Ladakh, India is fighting our own battles. At the same time, when four powerful democracies come together, it's a very strong signal that goes out to expansionist forces. What signal actually goes out to China? We'll have much more on the story at 10 p.m. tonight on India First. Before we move on, let's listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again at the Quad Summit opening session.
Your Excellencies, President Biden, Prime Minister Morrison and Prime Minister Suga, it is good to be among the friends. I thank President Biden for this initiative. Excellencies, we are united by our democratic values and our commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. Our agenda today, covering areas like vaccines, climate change, and emerging technologies, make the Quad a force for global good. I see this positive vision as an extension of India's ancient philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which regards the world as one family. We will work together closer than ever before for advancing our shared values and promoting a secure, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Today's summit meeting shows that Quad has come of age. It will now remain an important pillar of stability in the region. Thank you.
Quad has come of age. It will remain an important pillar of stability in the region. Strong words from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We'll have much more on the story at 10 p.m. tonight on India First. A quick break. On the other side, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister E. Palniswamy in conversation with India Today's News Director Rahul Kanwal and Priyambada on India Today Conclave South. Stay with us.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kanwal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.